did not yet exist in the time of these prophecies and visions of Daniel and others, but they were prophesied. And according to simple interpretation, the fourth empire, the last empire, one of its branches is also an outgrowth of Ishmael. Because when there's a reference to the empires, it does not mean just the different civilizations, it means those aspects of the attempt of certain rulers of world powers who became so strong that underneath they planned to rule over the whole world, all mankind. They thought themselves more or less in the place of the master of history. Although some of them had awareness, maybe there is a God, but as far as their practical dreams were concerned, they translated them into world power for this group, for this empire, through my activities. They generally had people at the head who were extremely self-conceited, thinking themselves to be able to change history and to destroy the group of people who believe that God rules history. And I would say the worst one of these aspects of Edom that has been experienced until today is that of Hitler Machshemo, who was a follower of Haman and who adopted the Edict of Haman. And let me also quote something that's only recently been discovered, which I know through investigations of Dr. Bank, which some of you missed on Motzei Shabbat. We brought a video on it as well. We know there's very interesting, the Scroll of Esther is the only book of the Bible that doesn't contain the name of God, because it speaks about a time when God is hidden. When Esther means that which is hidden. But when we see, in a hidden way, the manner in which God brings the destruction upon world empires and does not allow them to succeed in fulfilling their ambitions, then we see the hand of Hashem is there in history, not only in nature. So, in Megillat Esther, we know what is recorded in Megillat Esther is the way in which Haman and Achashverosh in the beginning helped him and afterwards opposed him, that he wants to destroy every single Jew in the world. And the reason he also gives is because they've got a different religion than we have. So at root, the attempt of Haman was, we in the Persian Empire, and he had a hidden desire that he will become the emperor, as we see from the record. And of course, when Achashverosh found out about it, he began to suspect him instead of previously trusting him. So, this was the attempt under the Persian Empire to destroy every single Jew in the world. And this was destroyed, this plan of his, and all the enemies of the Jews were annihilated. And above all, what lies behind all this in the Megillah is also that there are other records in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah that at the same time, when the Jews were trying to rebuild the temple, then they had edicts announced to stop it. And that came through Haman. In other words, Haman not only wanted to destroy the nation, but underneath it was the plan. It was not like this idea, this utopian idea, that the temple will become the source of godliness for all mankind, has to be destroyed. And he almost destroyed it, but instead it was all turned over. And it turned out, even through the union between Esther and Achashverosh, there was born Koresh, Dayavesh and then Koresh, who supported the building of the temple, so it was turned over. Now when we're going to read now the Megillat Esther, if you look through the Megillah, there's something very unusual. The Megillah is written in the scroll, like in the Sefer Torah, with ordinary sized letters all the way through. And in fact, if a person enters into the text and the cantillation, I've had the great zchut of being able to read the Megillah for many years in public, and I read it with the cantillation signs, which are very significant because it's very dramatic. You see, from the Megillah, you find it even more so than with regard to the cantillation signs, the Chumash and so on. It enters there in a stronger manner, but a deeper manner. But here it comes out clearly that whatever attempts were made to destroy were afterwards transformed into means of self-destruction. That the wicked person, he builds the pit into which he wanted his enemy to fall. And the one who builds the gallows, the eitz, gavoa, the high gallows, to hang on it, Mordechai, and then he is hanged upon it. He built it for himself. This comes through very much in the whole reading of the Megillah. You come to near the end of the Megillah, where it describes how Haman was killed, and also Haman on an eitz, on a wooden pole. Then it's very surprising that there's there a mention made of the 10 sons of Haman, who all hung on the same day, and they're all written in very large letters, and some of them very small letters. If you would study the extra large and the extra small letter, you'll come to Tav Shin Zayin, which is the year, which we call it in our Elef HaChamishi, we're now 5,000, and it has there, the Tav Shin Zayin is really the year of in secular terms 1946, which is in Hebrew terms 5,700 and 5,717. So, it's a question. Also, you'll see everybody in the synagogue, when you come to the reading of the Megillah, which is read by the representative who reads the Megillah, he stops, and then all the community, they have to say the sons of Haman in one breath. And then he has to do the same thing, if they can do so. It's all in one column. And the riddle, what's written here? So, here we have, like, hidden in the text of the Megillah, which was produced thousands of years ago, and here we have a clear illustration. Because Megillat Esther, from many points of view, describes the way in which the successor of Haman, who even wrote a book called Mein Kampf, is My Battle. This is to oppose the battle which is mentioned in the Chumash. Milchama Lashem Midor Lador. There's a battle of God against Amalek, mentioned in the Chumash, which you read last week. This battle was shown as Hashem's opposition to Amalek, which Amalek was a grandson of Esau, and which had been on a period when Esau and Ishmael was beginning to also express his specific quality of Pere Adam, of being wild, a wildness, instead of an organized anti-Semitism, it's a wild anti-Semitism. that Ishmael brought, the antagonism of the nations towards the people of Israel, their plan and their dream. And it says there in Mein Kampf, what does he say? He speaks about his dream. And his dream is, we've got to unite all Germany, keep it united and not divided, and we've got to go and work together to kill every single Jew in the world. The Manifesto of Harmony repeats it word for word together with his partner, the Mufti of Jerusalem. That's a combination of Esav, and bring the spirit of Esav into Ishmael. Although Ishmael did believe in one God, but they've become impure through their contact with the anti-Semitism of Esav. They've absorbed all the different lies and propaganda of the Nazis in the Mein Kampf, which brought in his major work, where he put forward his dream. This is Tavat Libot wanted to achieve, and for him that was the absolute purpose of this whole war. So he widened Germany, Deutschland über alles. I mean, I still remember as a boy, I left Germany in Frankfurt at the age of 5, but I still remember the Hitlerjugend marching in Frankfurt and singing this song, Germany above everything else. They wanted Germans to rule the world. So this was it. In Britain, Britannia rules the waves, they said, the waves of British colonialism. That was the song of British patriots. But Deutschland über alles is exactly what the Arumo. You think they're too great, and we'll conquer them. We will remove the conscience, which is that the conscience is an invention of the Jews. And you got destroyed because it weakens the human mind, the human heart. And unfortunately, they were successful with the sixth of our nation to destroy it. But in the end, they collapsed. So this is the concept. What's the concept of 365? So listen to this, what the Maharal says here. It's very deep. He says, this fourth beast, as it comes forth in the visions of Daniel, it receives its strength from the sun. The sun is the source of energy on this planet, and therefore it counts its days according to the sun. And Yaakov is called small, always referred to as the smallest of the nations. And he counts Ma'ora Katan, the small light, which is the moon. Now, the Esav, on the other hand, is called Edom, red. The Midrash says, even the lentils, the lentils, on account of which he gave up his birthright. He was really the firstborn, and the firstborn is supposed to serve Hashem in the family of Yaakov. Instead, he just went out to hunt, and it was the day of the death of Avraham, the grandfather. So Yaakov was preparing lentils, which when they're completely cooked, they turn greenish yellow, but when they're not yet cooked properly, they're still red. And he came in, please pour down my throat this red soup. I can't wait. He wanted instant gratification. So he's called Edom. His land is also called Edom. Artis is the Edom. His heroes are called Edomim. They're also called red people. The one who will ultimately punish him is David HaMelech, who is also called Tzach Adom. So they explain with this. The name Edom, we know that means red, is fit for Esav. That's why everything connected with him is called Edom. Why? Because he receives his strength from the sun. And the sun is called Shemesh. Shemesh really means that it is the servant of Hashem. The servant of Hashem that gives heat, that gives energy, that gives physical energy. Well, the moon is called Levana because it's white. It's whiteness. The whiteness represents the purity and being attached to the spiritual, while the sun and all its strength is a source of physical energy. It's also even given the name Chalso, which is earthenware, which is also reddish. So this is the concept, Hamaor Gadol, the Meshelet Hayom. It says in the first chapter of the Chumash, I'm going to put aside the sun to rule over the day, and the Levana to rule over the night. So therefore all the kings who rule in the daylight in time of success and fortune, they take the energy from the sun and they countercord with the sun. Yaakov said in front of Kodesh Baruch Hu, do not allow Esav to fulfill the passions of his mind and feelings, because Yarumo, they'll go and want to be at the top of the world. And this is Germany of Edom. If they'll all be united, they will destroy the whole world. And that's why they divided in different groups, they battle with one another. So the power of Edom is split in different pieces. And that's what happened before Hitler rose to power, happened then. And it happened again now, that the hatred against the Jewish people, which is so strong, at least, what does it lead to? It leads to war in groups, one with the other. So, especially through their combination with an outgrowth, as is described by Daniel, of Edom, that this all comes about through the way in which they are split up. And this is also the phrase that is used here. They are like a wild beast. The word zamam also means to muzzle them. They are muzzled. They are not allowed by Hashem to go and fulfill their dreams. And that's hinted at in what it says in the Megillah. So I'll tell you what it is. That there were 11 major Nazi criminals who were sentenced to death by hanging in the year 1946, with Tov Shin Zayin, the year referred to before, Tov Shin Zayin, is 5747, which is equivalent to 1946. They were hung on Hoshana Rabbah. One of the major criminals committed suicide just before they were due to be hung. Amongst those who were hung, there was one criminal. He was in charge of looting the Jews, taking all their gold and silver, taking it from the crowns of their teeth and everything else, and investing it or hoarding it in a most cruel manner, took all their spoil. But he, just the day before, as was to be expected, he knew for sure they were going to be hung, he he said he realizes that the Nazis made a mistake from the start, and he feels what's happening is a message that no nation in the world should ever start with any troubles for the Jewish people, because they're the people of God. But he said that he was hoping maybe this way they would release him from his punishment, but no, he didn't release. First of all, he said too late, just before he was too hung. And this was the only one of these criminals who expressed some form of regret. All the others said, no, we're filling orders, and believed it. In fact, the worst one amongst the criminals, in many ways, was Streicher. Streicher was in charge of propaganda, produced the journal of Nazism called Der Stürmer, which is filled with lies, non-stop. According to the principle, you tell a lie and make it big and repeat it again and again, then we'll believe it's truth. And just before the noose closed on his neck, he shouted out, so he knew all about Judaism, whatever he could distort, he distorted. So he said, Purim Fest, 1946. So he called out, this is really the fulfillment of Purim on ourselves. And there were 10 of them that were hanged, and found out also that the executioner who hung them was called, they're all Americans mainly, and the Allies, he was called Colonel Wood. Wood is 8. Although they were hung on nooses, went a slightly different way, but we know from the Megillah, these are the 10 sons of Homer, the successors, who were hung on one day. And it's written in those 10 sons' description in the largest and the smallest letters, Kama Tov Shin Zayin. Have a look. Tov Shin Zayin is exactly the date of Purim Fest 1946. So we see here the Megillah. I found many other references to the Holocaust here. But the Megillah teaches us that even if Haman's going to have successors, the hope is he would, but they'll find a very bitter end, already hinted at in the Megillah. And let us hope that this year's Purim will be, as is described here, mankind will recognize that the sun is given in Mishelet Hayom. In other words, man is given physical, material energies on this globe to develop it. But all might has to be subjected to right. And the power of Yaakov, Avinu, says, in the end, all the nations will go up, they'll say they want to learn from the Jewish people, Beit HaMikdash. They say they want to go to the Beit Elokei Yaakov, the house of the God of Yaakov, Avinu, the weaker one, who believes that strength is given to subject it to what seems weaker, which is the spirit. But the spirit, the morality, the soul, has to master and channel the body. That's why in the Kiddush Levana we say, we hope the time will come when the light of the moon will be as strong as the light of the sun. That's the concept behind it. Not only we've got to keep on renewing it, we've got ups and downs throughout our history, we've got the waxing and the waning of the moon. By the time it comes, well, not only the moon will just reflect the light of the sun, but the concept of the moon is a servant of Hashem just like the sun is a shemesh. Shemesh is to be a servant. We're all servants to the source of light, physical light and energy, and the spiritual light which is eternal.